Breaking tonight, Russian President Vladimir Putin telling the West to back off. This comes amid international concern over his troop buildup on the Ukraine border. Here in the U.S., one top military commander says the chances of nuclear war are actually increasing. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin tells us about it tonight from the Pentagon.
Russian President Vladimir Putin issued a stark warning to the U.S. and NATO during his annual State of the Nation address to Parliament.
I hope that no one dares to cross the red line in respect to Russia, and we will determine where it is in each specific case.
Putin spoke as Russia continues a massive military buildup on the border with Ukraine. New satellite images show dozens of fighter jets lined up on tarmacs in southern Russia and Crimea. Top U.S. military commanders warned that new threats facing the U.S. have them seriously worried for the first time that U.S. adversaries may consider using a nuclear weapon as the, quote, least bad option. The admiral in charge of America's nuclear arsenal says it's the first time in history the U.S. has had to deter two nuclear powers at the same time, Russia and China.
I cannot deter with the leftovers of the Cold War forever into the future. That is a 70-eras weapon system that I'm going to have to employ against 2030 level threats.
Some Democrats want to scrap one leg of the nuclear triad, the 400 ground-based missiles currently in silos across 3 states. The head of Strategic Command says he needs to replace, not update, those 50-year-old Minuteman III missiles. Democrats don't like the price tag.
You know, we're currently spending $44.5 billion a year on nuclear weapons. And I know that STRATCOM likes spending that money, but I don't.
The U.S. stopped keeping nuclear-capable bombers like these B-52s in Louisiana on 24-hour alert in 1991. But Admiral Richard warns if the U.S. scraps its ground-based missiles, it would have to rely too much on submarine-launched nukes.
Under those conditions, I would request to re-alert the bombers.
Putin boasted today that Russia will have modernized more than 88% of its nuclear weapons by the end of this year. Admiral Richard says the U.S. hasn't started. Brett?
All right, shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Before I get started with my lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son by saying, Kol Haloyim La, Allah Yahweh Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. All praises to our power, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, who is the God of the heavens and the earth, and the God of the 12 tribes of Israel, and only the God of the 12 tribes of Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you comprise the 12 tribes of Israel. You are the true chosen people of the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Double honor, them Yad as always, to the elders and apostles who've labored faithfully in His truth, and all the true teachers of Israel today. Peace, love, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Habayah from Adawadah, the house of David, the brothers labor to make their calling of election sure. And to the Akim and Akwafium who also listen and believe on Hamashiach Yahushai. To you I say shalom as well. So shalom to the hopeful elect. This is Brother Sagalah, bringing another lesson again through the Spirit. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear through the Rakak Kodash. So I'm going to jump right into it. This is the drum beat to war. World War III. This is the drum beat to war. World War III. So we see it day in and day out in the news. We see it week in and week out. And we constantly see, more and more talk of World War III, of the last days, of the Battle of Armageddon. We're seeing that from nation to nation, over and over and over again. Now, that's prophecy. So before I start the lesson, through the Spirit, I'm going to jump into it and show that that's the prophecy that's, throughout the Holy Scriptures, showing that we are indeed in the last days. So now, when you read Matthew 24, the disciples wanted to know what are the signs of the end of days. And I'm going to go right to the point and show it right here. So as the disciples asked that question, Yahweh shall answer the question here in verse 6, Matthew 24 and 6, and it says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. So we're hearing of wars and rumors of wars. The video we just watched was showing that the drumbeat of war, World War III, is growing louder and louder, more and more. As we get closer, to the time of Jacob's trouble, and ultimately the climax, of the Most High's movie is going to be World War III. Yahweh said, Matthew 24:6, once again, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, speaking of the elect, because the scriptures tell us the Lord hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So it says, Yahweh says, so see that you be not troubled. Speaking of the believers, we have a sound mind because we have this truth. Philippians 4:7, this peace that surpasses all understanding. For all these things must come to pass. See, all these things have to happen. The nations have to rise up against nation and come against each other. The drumbeat of war has to go forth throughout all the earth. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So the end is not yet, meaning there's still things that have to happen before the missiles drop. Once again, the time of Jacob's trouble has to happen, and that happens before the missiles drop. Because once the missiles drop, then all the prophecies would have been fulfilled, because the children of Israel would have to be, the elect would have to be, delivered. Would have to be beamed up on the chariots to make it out of here before the destruction. So that's why it says all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So we're at the time of the last of the end time prophecies. For nation shall rise against nation, that's what we're seeing, and kingdom against kingdom. We heard the words of Vladimir Putin and other world leaders. Time and time again, we see that. And there shall be famines and pestilences, which we see going on, in earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrow. So all of these things are the beginning of great mourning, and that time of great calamity on the earth, the time of great sorrow. So let's jump into that and show that real quick. It's the book of Jeremiah 50 and verse 22. And this is what we just saw from Vladimir Putin. We see this over and over again with world leaders throughout the world. Speaking into Babylon. Jeremiah 50 and 22, a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. So what we hear is a sound of battle in the land, which is the drumbeat of war. It says end of great destruction, speaking of those missiles, because that's going to be the great destruction that the scriptures are speaking about. So the sound of battle is throughout all the land, the scriptures say, and of great destruction. And what's going to cause that great destruction when you read in the book of 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter? It's going to be those missiles, because it tells you that the elements are going to melt with fervent heat. And what's that fervent heat? The nuclear destruction. So let's see if I got a quick precept of the Spirit, just going into that sound of battle that's in the land and that great destruction. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Sound of battle in the land. This is 2 Ezra 15 in verse Salakia. It's the book of 2 Ezra 15. Yeah, here it is. 2 Ezra 15 in verse 11, it says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched forth arm, with a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. So the Lord is smiting spiritual Egypt, New Egypt, America, with plagues like he did before, and will destroy all the land thereof. So all the land is going to be destroyed. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plagues and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. So we're seeing those plagues and punishment that the Most High is bringing upon the earth. Verse 13, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up against and fight against another, and swords in their hands. This is going into all the hardship, death, destruction, calamity that's coming to the earth. So I just wanted to get a little bit on that. Now let's continue back on Jeremiah 50 and 20. It says a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. So once again, the scriptures tell us that that missiles are going to fly But the arrows are going to fly from one end of heaven to another. You know, one end of heaven to another. And what is that? That's the nuclear missiles. You know, the ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, which is prophesied in the Holy Scriptures. That's actually prophecy in the Holy Scriptures. You know, so let's get that and show that further. It's the book of Isaiah 13, and I'll start at verse 1, and it reads, "The burden of Babylon," when you go into that word burden, it goes into the doom, the destruction, the fall. Because Babylon is fallen when you read Revelation, the 18th chapter. So that burden is the doom, the destruction, the heavy weight. You know, what's that heavy weight? The debts, you know, and ultimately the doom, the destruction is going to come by way of those missiles. The reference that I made, the 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter. So Isaiah 13:1 says the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah, the son of Amos, did see. So now I'm going to go to the point. Verse 4, Isaiah 13:4, "The noise of a multitude in the mountains amongst the nations, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise." So what we're hearing, that sound of battle is a tumultuous noise, which is the rumblings of the nations for World War III. It says a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of the nations gathered together. So all the nations are gathering together for what? For war. For war. For the battle of Armageddon. Armageddon in the Hebrew, the mounting of the troops in the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is near the Euphrates River in the so-called Middle East, in between the countries of Iraq, Iran, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, primarily Iraq, Iran, you know, in the heart of what is called the Middle East. It says the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, mustereth the host of the battle. So the Lord is the one that's bringing these nations together. Verse 5, "They come from a far country," speaking of the missiles, "from the end of heaven, even the Lord Yahweh and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land." So that's speaking of the missiles that come from a far land. You know, which are those nuclear missiles. And those missiles are going to do and give great destruction unto the land. It's through those missiles. So now, let's see if we can get other precepts going into those missiles. Let's go to the book of 2 Ezra 16, I believe it is. 2 Ezra 16 and verse 13, and it reads, "For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow," speaking of the Lord using those nations to fulfill and push forth prophecy, which is World War III. "His arrows," what are those arrows? The ICBMs, "that he shooteth are sharp," meaning they have what you call pinprick precision. Pinprick precision, you know, allows them to go and hit the targets, you know, that they're intended to hit. So I'll read it again, 2 Ezra 16 and 13, "For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss, when they began to be shot into the ends of the world," which is the same thing we just heard in Isaiah 13 in verse 5. It says they're going to be shot into the ends of the world. The arrows, the ICBMs. Isaiah 13 and 5, "They come from a far country," so they come from Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, etc., Syria, India. "They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord Yahweh and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land." So various parts of the earth is going to be destroyed. So showing you these are what the Bible speaks of as the weapons of the Lord's indignation, his righteous anger. His righteous anger, you know, unto the wicked and unto the nations, the heathen. So let's continue on showing that. It's the book of Joel 3. And we'll go right to the point, verse 9. And it reads, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war." So war is being prepared amongst the natural Gentiles, the heathen nations. So the Lord said, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. So the drumbeat to war, the sound of battle that's in the land, is the Gentile nations, the heathen nations coming together to fight. Prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So all of the men of war, and all the nations are coming together to fight against Babylon, directly or indirectly. Joel 3:10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And what makes you weak? These are the nations that were looked at as insignificant at one time, like North Korea, Syria, Iran, some of these smaller nations. But now they are strong because they have the nuclear capabilities. Joel 3:11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. So the Lord is causing all the nations to come together to fight in the battle of Armageddon in the Hebrew. Armageddon in the Hebrew, Salakia. Armageddon in the English in the scriptures. So this is the battle of Armageddon, the mounting of the troops in the Middle East. So this is the doing of the Lord. So why is that important? Let's get ready to close it out. 2nd Ezra 12. I'm going to go right to the point. 2nd Ezra 12:3, and it reads, and I saw and behold, this is the prophecy of Babylon falling, and the Edomites rule on the earth. 2nd Ezra 6:9, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So this is the prophecy on Esau, losing power on the earth. 2nd Ezra 12:3, and I saw and behold, they appeared no more. The whole body of the eagle. What's the body of the eagle? That's speaking of the whole system of the Edomites, the beast system, which is headed by America, Babylon the Great. And I saw and behold, they appeared no more. The whole body of the eagle. So the eagle, the power hole of the earth, the Edomites are going to be destroyed and was burnt, so that the earth was in great fear. So this is going to bring great fear, which is the same thing you read when you read Revelation, the 18th chapter. That all the nations are going to mourn and lament. Then awaken I, because they're going to witness this. The satellites are going to be showing. It's going to be on live TV, the fall of Babylon. Then awaken I out of the trouble and trance of mine, and from great fear, and said unto my soul. So the eagle, the whole body of the eagle is going to be burnt, and the whole earth is going to be in great fear, which is going to be the fall of Babylon the Great, which is America. Let's get another precept and close it out. This is the book of Isaiah 34:1, and it reads, come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord, Yahweh, is upon all nations, which is those missiles. That's going to show forth the true, righteous anger of the Lord. And his fury is upon all their armies. So the Lord is coming to draw all these armies together because they are his armies, to make them fight. And that's going to show forth the fury of the Lord. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. So all these nations are going to be delivered to the slaughter through the battle of Armageddon. And more importantly, more specifically, Babylon the Great, America. It's going to be a great slaughter here in Babylon as we continue to read. Isaiah 34:3, their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. Verse 4, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, which is what it says once again in 2 Peter the 3rd chapter. That the earth is going to melt with fervent heat. So Babylon and various parts of the world are going to be destroyed completely, decimated. The heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as a leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. For my sword, which is death and destruction, shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, which is the Greek word for Edom, and upon the people of my cursed judgment, which are the Edomites. They are the people that's cursed to the judgment of the Lord, which is the missiles going to come down on this place and destroy the whole enterprise of the wicked, which is why it said that the whole body of the eagle is going to be burnt. Verse 6, the sword of the Lord Yahweh is filled with blood, and is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. These are all the other nations and all the people, all those who are going to try to stand up and fight against the Lord, pertaining to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. For the Lord Yahweh hath a sacrifice in Basram, which Basra is the capital city, which is the homeland of the Edomites, which modern day Basra will be America. It's the headquarters. It's the power seat of the wicked of the earth. For the Lord Yahweh hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. It's going to be a great slaughter here in Babylon the Great. So, continuing on, it says, and the unicorn shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. For it is the day of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. So this is for the, for the vengeance of the Lord's temple, the controversy of Zion, which is going to be the deliverance of the elect. So with that, I hope that was edifying to the hopeful elect. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the God of the heavens and the earth. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, the true teachers of Israel today, who have labored faithfully in this truth, and to the house of David, the brothers labor to make their call of election sure. Habayath Madabada. To you, I say shalom as well. Peace, love, blessings, and salutations. And to the Akim and Akwathim who listen and believe on Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, while Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, to you, I say shalom as well. Shalom.